Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Sorry if it's a bit noisy outside. To say it's raining would be an understatement. It's how do I put this? If an old man came with a long beard came around and told me to find two of each kind for a big boat of his, I wouldn't be surprised. Anyway, talking about boats, or ships rather, you lot have asked me to review the Hornet. Well, to be fair, I've given you the chance to ask me to review the Hornet, but yeah, you just want to see me in a carrier. Okay. Don't say I didn't warn you. So here's the obligatory disclaimer. I am not very good at carriers, so if that sort of thing triggers you, then this might not be the video for you. Anyway, the USS Hornet. Why did I offer to review this carrier in the first place? Well, the Hornet's a bit special. So you all might be aware that at some point in the Second World War, the Japanese decided to drop some surprise loads on the American battleship row in Pearl Harbor. And that made the Americans very angry, understandably, and kicked the whole thing off in the Pacific. So morale was sort of lopsided. The Japanese were feeling invincible and the Americans were a bit down. So they decided that it was high time to do something about it and came up with an idea. The idea was to drop some bombs on Tokyo because then you'd have revenge and you'd show the Japanese that they're not invincible and do some damage. But the main idea was that it'd be a psychological effect. And there was also a hope that in return, the Japanese would be a lot more conservative and would remove some of their frontline units for more protection, given that they would perceive the home islands as vulnerable. So how do you achieve that? Well, the problem is you can't just sail a carrier over to the Japanese home islands because, you know, there's a lot of Pacific and things like the Imperial Japanese Navy tend to get in the way. So the idea was to take the B-25 Mitchell, which was a medium bomber, which was relatively new at the time, and get these things underway in an extended range configuration in order to drop some bombs on Tokyo. So this then produced multiple problems. The first of which was that nobody had ever started anything but a dive bomber from a carrier. So they painted a carrier-sized box on a landing strip and tried that and found out that it would actually work. They would be able to get the B-25 off the ground on the carrier. That much for the first problem. The second problem, you'd have to have the range to actually get to Tokyo. So they decided to, well, you have to make the plane lighter for once. So they decided to throw everything out that they could, including, for example, the rear turret's guns, and replace them with some sticks of some sort. And then the next problem is that the B-25, even with reduced weight, did not have the actual range to reach the home islands. So they put more fuel tanks in it. Effectively, these were just fuel bladders. So they stuck some bladders full of plane fuel into them and then got them there. And the third problem, final problem that you have is, while you might be able to take one of these things off from a carrier and fly to the home islands, it's relatively unlikely that you're going to get it back and then land it again. So the idea of shuttle bombing then came around, where you'd say, okay, then don't fly them back, but just keep flying and land them in China, and then we can recover them and the crews from there. So, with all these problems ironed out, they had they put this under command of Doolittle himself, who then obviously made it the Doolittle raid, and this succeeded. So they managed to get the planes off the Hornet. They had to start a little bit earlier than anticipated because they actually ran into a picket boat and had, I think it was about 170 miles more to fly than they originally had. But they managed to completely surprise the Japanese. They dropped their bombs on Tokyo, didn't do an awful lot of damage, but completely ruined the reputation and caused a lot of anxiety and panic among the military rank, because that was completely unfathomable that somebody could do this. And then most of them actually managed to either bail out of the planes or crash land in China. And actually, most of the air crews made it back. So that was the famous Doolittle raid, the first time that somebody actually managed to launch a medium bomber of an aircraft carrier. Hornet herself was later sunk after some kamikaze strikes. I'm not sure if they were officially kamikaze strikes at the time. I think they were just damaged planes crashing into her, plus some torpedo bombers were hitting hers, and she was eventually sunk by Japanese destroyers with torpedoes. So, the Hornet in game. Why did I volunteer to do this to myself and to everybody else? Well, first of all, there's a B-25 on it, and I really enjoy that they modeled it, that they did that. I thought it was just a cosmetic thing with a camo, but no, it isn't actually. You really get the B-25s on these things. There they are, right in front. So, Tier 8 aircraft carrier. Okay, let's have a look and do some comparisons between, because I'm not super familiar with carriers. So there is already a Tier 8 aircraft carrier, and that's the Enterprise. So let's have a look between the Hornet and the Enterprise. The first thing that stands out is that the Hornet gets the carpet bombing ship skill, which means that she functions a little bit like a British aircraft carrier in that regard, because these B-25s are obviously not dive bombers. No one's going to dive bomb in one of these things. You fly over your target and you either fly over your target and drop the bombs, or you try to do something like a skip bombing approach or something similar. Either way, the Enterprise gets the defensive AA. All right, so Hornet does not have an awful lot of armor. Neither does the Enterprise, to be fair, but also loses out in the fire and flooding resistance quite a bit. This can be important for carriers, because this doesn't just reduce the chance of getting set on fire or flooded, but also the damage that it takes. Her engines are dreadful. Her maneuverability is dreadful, although she is a bit faster on the rudder than the Enterprise. She gets the same guns, and now to the important part. So while the Enterprise obviously is flying the SPDs, the Hornet is flying the B-25. So we've got 16 of them in one squadron of 4, and each of them drops 4 bombs. This is actually accurate, because they did configure them to drop 4 bombs, 3 regular high explosive and 1 special incendiary. So that is accurate. What is interesting here is that they have a lot of hit points. 5,300 hit points. That's a lot of HP. And the bombs do 1,000 points of damage each. So less than you would get on an SBD, but you get 4 of them per plane. And they have a 25% fire chance, which makes sense because everything else would be terrifying. So the one thing that also stands out here is the preparation time, because it takes forever to get this dive bomber wing into the air. She then gets, to my utter horror, I realized that she gets 2 torpedo bomber squadrons, and that is not something I'm particularly happy about. But yeah, 2 squadrons of 4. They are worse than what you get on the Enterprise. And so it's the same hit points, but the torpedoes do less damage and it takes a little bit longer to prepare. She then gets the F4Fs, same as on the Enterprise. They're exactly the same. They're not particularly great, and you get 1 wing of 5 instead of 2 wing of 3. 2 wings of 3, so you get 1 wing of 5. The AA is terrifyingly bad for a Tier 8 ship. That is no AA whatsoever. So if you run into whatever I can't remember, was it the Parzival, or was it the von? Yeah, Richthofen was the 10, Tier 10, so Parzival was the Tier 8. Yeah, if you run into a German carrier, good luck. And the concealment isn't as good as Enterprise either. Comparing her to the Lexington, and we're not going to go over the other details. I just want to see the difference in the dive bombers. The Lexington's dive bombers obviously are not the B-25s, but you can kind of see that she's got a 60% fire chance, but you get a wing of 5. Each one just drops 1, whereas the Hornet drops 16, but in a probably broader pattern. And the torpedo bombers on the Lexington are significantly better than those on the Hornets, because first of all, they've actually got some hit points, and the torpedoes do more damage as well. Fighter-wise, also, the Lexington gets much better fighters, the F6Fs instead of the F4s, which have a significantly larger amount of hit points and do more damage. So lastly, let's compare her to the frankly stupidly overpowered and thus very, very common Indomitable, the Tier 8 British premium carrier, the one carrier in the game that I can play successfully. And if I can play that thing successfully, everybody can. So I'm only here really because you're going to encounter that thing a lot. I would say probably 8 out of 10 games I'm up against Indomitables at Tier 8. It's dreadful. So the British bombs are doing less damage, have a much lower chance of setting fire, and obviously the dive bombers have about half the HP, but they are preparing faster, and you get 3 wings of them. So slightly different story here. The fighters on the Indomitable have almost twice the health of the Hornets fighters, and do significantly more damage. So you can imagine what happens if you're going up and against an Indomitable. Also, the AA, obviously, on an Indomitable is better. Right, so, like I said, I'm not an expert on these things, but what have I done setup-wise? Let's go through. There are 2 elite bonuses that you can choose from, and the first one gives you more dive bomber HP, dive bombers being the B-25s, and a closer bomber attack range. I think this just makes them hit more, I believe, or hit better. Or you can buff the torpedo bombers. I played first with the torpedo bomber buff, but I actually went back to this because these B-25s can't hit anything. So this has improved the amount of hits quite a bit that I get out of that thing. The equipment now. I believe it is customary to use the fighter modification 1 because it gives your fighters more speed and it gives them attack efficiency. Don't know. Against an Indomitable, it's pointless because it'll just. I have baited Indomitable fighters and got them over my own AA, and my fighters still lost. It's pointless. You might as well not bother. Also, I'm terrible at trying this fighter baiting thing. I don't know how people manage that when they have 3-4 squadrons in the air. I don't. So for people like me, it might more sense to actually get the ground services, just because you're shaving off a bit of time of the dive bombers, especially. I am playing with concealment because if you're spotted, you're dead, and if the enemy carrier spots you, you're also dead. And it doesn't have any AA, so buffing the AA doesn't make sense, so I might as well go with propulsion to get myself out of trouble if I need to. And then I am also using the high-grade coal here for a better surface detection, because stealth is really literally the only thing that saves this carrier from just being obliterated. Commander-wise, I have... Well, it's a pretty standard setup, right? It's a Tier 8 carrier, I put a Tier 8 commander in there. I've got the return speed thingy. Everything else is just geared towards exploit weakness, the extinguisher to take less damage from fire, and the make your fighter better skill. Obviously, you want at some point the Dauntless Dive, although I still have to test if that actually affects these kind of carpet bomby, level bomby things. So, don't know yet, but given how much XP you need to get up to that skill, I don't know if everybody will have that, so I'm not including it for now. The historical camo that you can put on gives you hit points, a bit more damage on the bombs, which is nice, a bit damage on the torpedoes, which is nice, and surface detection, which you absolutely need. So not a bad camo. Doesn't try to do things like buff your AA, which you don't really have any of anyway. Alright then, I've been trying to delay that for long enough, so here's me in the Hornet. Like I mentioned, we're up against an Indomitable. There's a Richelieu, Bismarck, Nagato, and 3 destroyers, double Xianyang and a Yudachi. We're playing on Haunted Seas, which is a map that I actually like. So, yeah. One thing to be aware of, I believe, in this carrier is that she has no AA. So any kind of carrier that decides to just wipe you off the map early on. There's nothing you can do about it. If you're up against a German carrier, and so far I haven't been because it's all been Indomitables, then they can just wipe you off the map. Easy. They're not even going to lose an awful lot. So you sort of need to be together with your crew. Like I mentioned, against an Indomitable, the biggest problem is that your fighters are absolute garbage. And there's very, very little that you can do against something like an Indomitable. Now, I am trying to get to intercept some of his planes, and do something about the Indomitable's dive bombers, and he's intercepting my bombers as well. So the problem is, as you can see, even with a full upgrade, my fighters are completely useless against the Indomitable's dive bombers. I mean, look at it. I've been harking at these fighters for half their distance. I haven't shot a single one down. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So these fighters are completely useless. They don't do anything. They can't shoot a single Indomitable dive bomber down. And he's wiped out my complete dive bomber squad, obviously, my B-25s. So I am now trying to drop torpedoes on a Yudachi, which is not my forte, as you can see. And obviously his fighters are back again, because I just don't... The other thing with the Indomitable, obviously, is that, and yeah, his fighters just wiped out my torpedo bombers before they could even drop. The other problem with the Indomitable is obviously that, and I don't know why they got captured here, because they did have a target, but for some reason they got captured. I don't know, don't ask me. The other problem with the Indomitable is that they're all dive bombers, so it's not that she's got anything else to do. I mean, it's not that I could do anything about the Indomitable dive bombers anyway. But let's get back to talking about the Hornet instead of whinging about the overpoweredness of the Indomitable. I'm still trying to torpedo that Yudachi. He is stopping. I think he's stopping. Is he stopping? Yeah, he's stopping. Okay, try now. No, didn't catch them. Okay, so he stopped. WASD hacks, they were very effective. Now he's moving forward. So I'm trying to get my second torpedo dropping something on the Xianyang, although the level bombers are not particularly effective. He is in smoke. I don't know if I'm going to hit that Yudachi with any torpedoes. Doesn't look like. So let's see what we can do to a destroyer with the B-25s. So there comes the drop. Seven bomb. Yeah, that was half a Xianyang gone. Okay. I take that back. They are relatively effective against destroyers. So that's a good thing. It's a good thing to know. My fighters are still trying to shoot down anything, and they fail to shoot down anything. I will try to drop that while his fighters are busy just killing mine. I will try to drop that Bismarck over there, but I guess my fighters are going to be dead in a minute again, and then I have nothing. There's nothing to stop. Yeah, my fighters are already dead. There's nothing. It's not that he managed to pull them into anybody's AA, right? He just murders them. So, Xianyang spotted, trying to get the second torpedo drop actually retargeted to the Xianyang. There come obviously his fighters again. It's going to shoot down all my torpedo bombers before I can even have any chance to drop anything. Maybe, let's see, maybe we can get one or two torpedoes still away against the Xianyang. He's obviously dodging as well. And meanwhile, the dive bomber's out again against the Nagato. Now Xianyang's dodged the torpedoes. No, we've got the torpedo hit. Nice. So that worked. And yeah, like I said, maybe if you're good and you can manage to, and you're just better, and you can manage to pull the fighters, to bait the enemy fighters every single time. As you can see, I'm trying, but it just doesn't, right? It just doesn't work. So I must try to intercept some of the dive bombers again, but it really is no point. You might as well not bother. You may as well not bother using your fighters on the ship anyway. So set some fires on whatever I sent these dive bombers out against, or the B-25s out against. I'm trying to respot the Indomitable here, because the team is calling it out, because my team is pushing around B-Cup. So I am just using my fighters to keep them spotted. I mean, they're not good for anything else anyway. And I will try to drop some torpedo bombers against the Richelieu. Richelieu is coming under torpedo attack from the front, so maybe I can help out here a bit. Although the Richelieu has very good torpedo planes, I have still this whole game shot down a single fighter, a single enemy plane. You do realize that, right? And I don't think that was my fighters that did that. So we're trying to fly over the Richelieu and drop some torpedoes onto him. Yeah, there go my torpedo bombers again, because they're squishy as heck. So Richie is going to just wipe that squadron out completely. I get 1 torpedo away. Oh yeah, and the fighters are coming in as well to add insult to injury. So yay, we got torpedo hit on the Richelieu. My second torpedo hit in the game. I might be able to actually drop him from the other side. Nagato is dead anyway. I might be able to drop him from the other side. Because I don't know where exactly the island hitbox begins. That's why I'm a little bit hesitant to do that. So let's lead it a little bit. And there come, of course, the Indomitable fighters. So there's no way that my torpedo bombers are even going to make it to the drop. Yeah, they're of course dead. Instantly dead. There's absolutely nothing you can do. Still, Roma is getting pummeled by the Indomitable, obviously. And I'm still trying to shoot down his dive bombers, which is futile. But my B-25s now actually managed to get through and get a couple of fires on the Richelieu. So that is good. But he seems to have damage content all, so that was all the damage we've done. But it looks our team is doing the work here. So once again, I'm using my fighters to just try and intercept something while keeping the enemy Indomitable spotted. I have caused a flood on the Richelieu, I believe. So that might be ticking now. Yes, that is a perma flood now because the... Oh look, I shot a second plane down. Will you believe it? It's incredible. Another one. Wow. But there come already the Indomitable fighters. And even though I'm actually doing this over a friendly Bismarck, that's going to be the end of my fighters. But the Indomitable has been let down by his team to some degree because there is a carrier coming up from the north, which is why I had moved a little bit. I'm out of torpedo bombers, by the way, which is unsurprising. But yeah, obviously my fighters have been wiped out, even though we were fighting over friendly AA. So yeah, forget about it. I might get a drop onto the Indomitable from the remaining torpedo bombers until they get chewed up by his AA, and I get a couple more from the B-25. So the B-25s are great. Don't get me wrong. The B-25s are absolutely great, but they take forever to reload, and the rest of your ship's completely garbage. And I don't know how this happened. I swear I didn't pay anybody to make this happen, but they came out on top of my team in a carrier. That only tells you the quality of teams that we have to contest with. So let me just put that into perspective, right? I came up on top of the team in a carrier, which means that, and we won. Which means that the enemy team was worse than my team, where I got up on top in the carrier. That is, never ceases to amaze me. All right. In the second battle, we are obviously up against an Indomitable. Don't let the name of the player fool you. It is not an Illustrious. It is an Indomitable. Monarch, North Carolina, Albemarle, Miyoko, Black New Orleans, and a single destroyer. Fault line base capture. All right. Fault line is not a great map. It's way too large and it's got way too many islands. But with a carrier, at least, you can do some spotting. There's only one destroyer, so we'll see if we can get him spotted. There are a couple of cruisers on our side, so that should not be a massive problem. And I'm going to try and park behind that island there in front of me and get a little closer. Also, just to be in a safe spot and be able to disengage. Because on a map like this, you don't want to sit around in your capture circle. Okay, fighters out and then see if we can do something. I mean, you know the drill by now, right? I'm going to send my B-25s generally in that direction. And then I'm going to try and do something about the enemy fighters. So the whole capture, there you go again, right? I clicked. Right? I clicked. How did they capture my fighters? I gave them an order. I gave them an order to go back, and once again they got captured. I mean, not that it matters, right? You've seen what happens even if I would manage to bait enemy fighters over friendly territory, they get slaughtered anyway. So it doesn't matter. So we were scouting. We found the Black New Orleans and we found the Lightning. Unfortunately, too late for me to change the order. And yeah, 3 bomb hits. That was disappointing. That did nothing. But at least we're doing some spotting here. And yeah, I'm not even going to try and torpedo drop the Lightning. I mean, that'd be completely pointless. I'm just going to try and get some torpedo drops onto the New Orleans because by the looks of it, the enemy fighters are. I'm not sure if they're returning or if they're just busy slaughtering my torpedo bombers. Okay, that's a flood. Let's see if we can get a second. Okay, he's gonna beach there, so I might get a second shot off. Okay, I'll get some more fighters out. Fat lot of good it's gonna do me. Okay, I'm sitting next to the island where I want to be. Got another torpedo hit in on the Black New Orleans, but that was about. I think that was the only torpedo bomber that actually survived that. No dive bombers out from the Indomitable, so just managing my fighters out a little bit. The team calls out the low health Miyoko, so yeah, I will see what I can do here. But yeah, let's see again. See if I can. Did I pull the enemy fighters? Maybe I did, or they're just chasing after me. So let's try to get over the friend. Oh, there we go. Yes, maybe I did pull them. So now we're fighting over a Veneto and an Algerie. And let's see how many of my fighters are going to survive against an Indomitable. Torpedo bombers out. Nobody is worrying about the lightning, so I'm just going to get the torpedo bombers out to see if I can... Just one for now, because I can't manage two of them. Oh, will you know it? My fighters have been destroyed, and the Indomitable's fighters are murdering my torpedo bombers. Yeah, so never mind that. I just want to respot the lightning. There he is. And see if I can do something with whatever remains of my torpedo bombers at this point. Okay, he stopped again, the bugger. I hate it when they do that. But right now I'm just trying to keep him spotted, honestly. And I keep fat fingering the the ship button instead of no. It's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to hit the other button anyway. Okay, maybe we get one torpedo. Yeah, we got torpedoed in. Okay, a couple more fighters out against the Indomitable's dive bombers. Not that it matters. It's just the principle of the thing at this point. I think the first ship lost, and our left flank isn't looking too great. There's one cruiser. Yeah, there's this the Seven Provincian on our left side. Yeah, my fighters are trying to do something about the... Oh, I shot a plane down. Yeah, the Indomitable is now coming for me. Which means I'm going to be on triple fire. So we'll just wait until all the things have dropped. What? No fires? Okay, that wasn't so bad, actually. Yeah, we shot a plane down, but that was about it. Okay, let's bring the fighters back again and see if we can do something useful with the torpedo bombers. Team calls out North Carolina. I'm more concerned about our left flank, honestly. Because, yeah, that thing there. Because the Seven Provincian is leaving. And... I'm going to try and drop something onto that Albemarle there, just you know, to keep him occupied. Obviously, there come the fighters again, the enemy fighters, so there's not an awful lot that's going to happen here, but also the DZP has a murderous AA, so... And once again, he moved. A little bugger. Okay, let's see if we can do something here. There comes... Oh, sorry, that's the Albemarle. What am I talking about? Seven Provincians on our side. Okay. Anyway, that's why my torpedo bombers actually survived. Anyway, fighters, why do I try? Have we done something? No, our torpedo bombers have been shot down by the enemy fighters before they could do anything. Albemarle now sits in the smoke. I'm not spotted because it's a stealth build, and that's why you need a stealth build in this ship. But I need to back off this island and get myself on the other side because my team has abandoned this position. And we're 2 kills down at this point. So I'm just trying to respot the whole thing. Once again, fat fingering the return to carrier button. That button should be a lot smaller. Okay, no, I don't know where he is. He's somewhere in his smoke. So we'll drop a cross pattern onto him into the smoke. Oh, there he is. And then we'll try to get the ship out of here. Okay, so he is reversing, which means the second wing needs to kind of drop behind him a little bit. That might work. Okay, I can't babysit that right now. I need to make a move and get my butt out of here. Hey, we got a torpedo hit on the Albemarle, and my torpedo bombers are all dead. And there's also the what's that? The Black New Orleans coming around that was spotting at the other side earlier. The Seven Provincian seems to be going for the cap at this point, so I'm just gonna have to try and keep these guys busy if we're gonna. We don't have enough time to cap them out, I think. So. I'm just going to try and get out of here as much as I can. Like I said, the B-25s are the only saving grace on this thing. They are actually pretty awesome. So if you can get these on target, they're great. But it takes forever to do anything. Okay, Black New Orleans, damage cons a single fire. I'm not sure who set him on fire, but I don't care. I am going to... Because the Albemarle has just died. And there's also their battleship coming around for our capture circle. All right, we are capping. No, we're not capping because the Indomitable is still alive. Okay, let's try to drop the... Nope, no, that's not going to work. He's turning. Okay, back, return home, and then try that again. Okay, second try, line him up. I'm spotted again. There's a cruiser in front of me. Crap. Okay, we might be able to get him there. Okay, a little bit further ahead, and then I'm just going to have to deal with that cruiser here. Because there is a... That's a Miyoko. Hello, Mr. Miyoko. Okay, full on reverse, hard right, torpedo dodging. At least that's something I know how to do. And then it's gunboat time, because bloody hell, if there's nothing else, then at least they can shoot at him. All right, so Miyoko's dropped his torpedoes, makes no motion to turn around. We are ahead on points for some obscure reason, because it looks like the enemy carrier has been killed, and so I just need to survive. There's a battleship looking at me funny, and I'm on low hit points, but I can still get some shots in at the Miyoko, and we win this against all odds. The Seven Provincian, unsurprisingly, has taken the MVP. Very, very powerful premium there. So let's see where we came in the team. 48,000 damage, not too bad. I mean, haven't done an awful lot with the torpedoes, but the B-25s are really, like I said, the saving grace. The problem is you can only use them. You can only... Oh, I've done 26,000 points. Hey, I came second. Okay, this says a lot more about the quality of teams that I am both with and up against than it says about my skill in piloting this thing. Anyway, all right. The Hornet. I'm not necessarily qualified to give you a, qualified opinion. The fighters are garbage. The torpedo bombers are garbage. The only good thing... The AA is garbage. The only good thing about it is the other B-25s. And it takes, I think, almost a minute to reload the dumb things when they've been shot down by the inevitable Indomitable fighters. So, yes, you can do some damage, but maybe in skilled hands, this carrier will actually be pretty good. But don't expect any magic just because she's got the B-25s, because it takes forever to reload them. I would say it's more of a collector's item and a novelty than an actually extremely powerful carrier. But then again, maybe if somebody really knows what they're doing, that'd be a different story. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.